So, good evening. Let us discuss about 21st May 2015 newspaper. In this, the first one is about China-Pakistan economic corridor and the hype which was created around that. So it was told as the game and fate changer of Pakistan. Let us analyze to what extent it is true. So it appeared on the paper that the China is giving huge sum of $42 billion to Pakistan. But what the author says is, this cannot be believed unless it materializes. If you can see, the US hardly gave it $5.5 billion and the OECD not more than $3 billion. So the $42 billion is a big sum which not even the other countries are able to promise till date altogether for Pakistan's cooperation in Afghanistan war. In this context, what is the real truth behind China's offer to Afghanistan? Now, first thing is, what it was said is, the Gwadar port is opening to the Arabian Sea, and the Gwadar port will be connected to the Karakoram highway. From Karakoram highway, it will go to the China. So this is called as Gwadar Kashgar project. Now, if you clearly see that there is no dependence for China on Gwadar to bypass the Malaccan Straits. Already, China has built another way from Myanmar to the Yunnan province in China. So it means that there is an alternative route already exists for China to overcome or to bypass the Malacca Straits. And the second thing is, the China's offer to overcome the Pakistan energy crisis also appears as a misnomer. Is also a misnomer. Now, if you see, the Pakistan is going through a debt crisis, or else the Pakistan's entire energy sector has a problem which can be explained this way. Now, there is huge subsidies which are being given, and there is a huge evasion of the electricity bills. So, because of this, a credit crisis is already been set in with regard to this particular sector. Now, in the circular debt, what is happening is this. So, the 15 rupees which the government is paying for, finally the citizens are receiving at 5 rupees. And the remaining 10 rupees has to be paid by the government. And government is delaying these payments to these companies, electricity companies. So, that is the reason why these companies are failing to pay their debts to the banks. So this particular vicious cycle is being set in. Already, two of the projects, the Chinese companies have backtracked on them, which almost the Gadani project in Balochistan and few projects in Punjab, the Chinese companies have backtracked. They are worth of almost $16 billion. And next is, the projects which are being spoken about, they are thermal power projects. These thermal power projects will run on imported coal. So, availability of the coal is going to be a bigger challenge in these areas. The next is the solar power projects and hydroelectric power projects. Especially with the solar power projects anywhere in the world, the cost of the project is going to be huge. With regard to hydropower projects, so few of the projects have been coming up. For that, already China has ensured the loan of $2 billion out of $4.3 billion. They are coming at Suki, Kinari and Karot in Punjab, Dasu on Indus River. It is Suki, Kinari in Pakhtunkhwa and Karot in Punjab. You don't need to remember all these names. With regard to hydroelectric power projects, $2 billion is ensured. But probably Pakistan might have given more assurance on the repayment of these particular loans. In this connection, if the Pakistan assures China about the repayments, what about the payments to the Pakistani companies which are giving this electricity? So it means that entirety, what it says is, unless everything materializes, nothing can be believed in this particular agreement. Let me revise it again. So there is a huge $42 billion aid and support which the government of China wants to give it to Pakistan. But the reality shows other way around. So what the reality says, the first thing is the Gwadar port connectivity is believed to bypass the Malacca Straits and to provide for an access to the Indian Ocean. So Gwadar port has to be connected to the Karakoram. From Karakoram it has to go to Xinjiang province. But already China has an alternate route from Myanmar. And previously China has declared this particular route as unviable. And next is Pakistan's energy crisis. So the $16 billion worth of the projects already dropped by the Chinese companies because of the debt situation or circular debt that is existing in energy sector in Pakistan. And new projects which are being started, unless they materialize, they can't be believed in. So 5 thermal power projects are promised. In Pakistan, the major problem is not capacity, but underutilization of the capacity because of lack of running capital with regard to the power companies. It is due to huge subsidy and the delays in the government to pay that subsidy to the power companies. So in this case, the new thermal powers are going to be run on imported coal, and the availability of the coal is going to be a challenge. And the solar power project, which is going to be established with cost of $1.5 billion, it is the power cost of production of the power is going to be huge on that front. So, and also hydroelectric power projects, to what extent they materialize is a big cannot be believed in. It means what entirely this deal is, there is no clarity. And it appears that China is giving on one hand, or appearing as giving on one hand, and taking away with the other hand. Next is, with regard to India-China ties. Recently, Prime Minister Modi visited China. During the China, he asked for the clarification on line of actual control to the Chinese authorities. Now, he said that this clarification will help for the better management of the border. Chinese, on the other side, they are apprehensive that once this particular line of actual control is clarified, tomorrow India may stress on converting that into a permanent border. And the second thing is, India already expressed its concerns about the infrastructure projects that are coming in Pak-occupied Kashmir, which India believes as its sovereign area. And next, India asked for the China to support it for United Nations Security Council's permanent membership to create a century for Asia, or for common Asia's progress. But however, the China did not commit anything, and it only said that China is willing to support India to play a bigger role in the world affairs. Now, what is this bigger role? China did not clarify. On the other hand, Pakistan is openly opposing to this. So what the Pakistan says is, it will disturb the strategic balance existing in South Asia. And China also criticizes India that India is trying to monopolize control over the Indian Ocean. However, Modi, in his speech at a university in China, he has cleared that India and China obviously has to cooperate because their trade runs through the common sea lanes. And on One Belt, One Road, there is no discussion has happened. So, there is probably, we thought that India's Mausam and Spice route will be integrated with China's One Belt, One Road initiative, but nothing of discussion of that sort has happened. This is what is the essence of this. Next is, next stop is Russia. Now, the Prime Minister of India, he is about to visit Russia on BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization summits. In this, India is going to join as a member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Along with that Russian trip, he is going to visit the Central Asian countries. All the Central Asian countries, they are together called as STANs. In 1955, Prime Minister Nehru did a trip to all the Central Asian countries. Now it's a reminiscent of such a trip. Prime Minister Modi is taking up that. What is the major agenda of the Prime Minister's trip to the Central Asia? The Central Asia is energy hub of the world. If you take Kazakhstan, it has got rich uranium resources and also the oil and petroleum resources. And next is Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. biggest natural gas resources. So it means energy and exports are high on the agenda of the Prime Minister in his visit to Central Asia. Now recently in the Victory Day parade in Russia, there is the highest representation from India in the form of President Pranab Mukherjee. It was highly appreciated by the Russia, and Indian Prime Minister and Russia are going to engage again on various strategic interests. Now if you can see, there is an article which was written by Sanjay Baru, which I did not pick up over here. What he says is, the relationships between any countries can be classified as G to G, B to B, P to P. Government to government, business to business, people to people. If you take India-America relations, they are strong on all these fronts. If you take China relations, the G to G are improving, but the strongest relations are B to B. That is business to business, because we are importing most of our requirements from China. And if you take Russia, the relations are only at the level of G to G. The P to P are very low. The trade is also very low. In reality, the trade is actually coming down with Russia. So it means a strong B to B and P to P engagement is necessary. So in China, if you observe that, the strategy of Modi is different. What it appears as, so let us build P2P, B2B, a comprehensive engagement, a all-pervasive engagement with China that automatically improves the relations with China to the next level. So it is trying to bring in G2G, B2B, P2B, which is called as all-pervasive engagement with China. States are unlikely to bridge the gap. Now this particular article, especially with regard to the existing devolution of the finances to the states after the 14th Finance Commission, it becomes significant. So the 14th Finance Commission has increased the shareable pool of the taxes towards the states. So, but however, it in relation to that, the amount of the money allocated to the states under various central sponsored schemes has gone down. It means that in reality, the states have lost the money rather than gaining out of it. For example, the FLAIR, an NGO, what it has observed is this. The total spending, social spending on food and nutritional safety has come down after this government has come up. And second thing is, the total transfer of the money to the states also has come down from 6.1% of GDP to 5.8% of GDP. So, on the face of it, the government appeared, it is following the 14th Finance Commission recommendations, which has increased the transfers to the states from the shareable pool. But it is not actually reflecting on the ground. So, on the other hand, central government is minimizing its devolution of the funds to the states. In that way, it is trying to balance. So, in net effect is, the total amount of funds transferred from the center to states are coming down. That is what is the observation. And next, bad loans and bad news. So if you can remember, few days back, the Subramanya Swami's article, what he said is, India is at the brink of debt crisis. So there is a kind of a bubble is being built in India. The reason is the NPAs of the banks are increasing. So in this context, this article becomes more and more important. So if you can see that between 2000 to 2001 and 2008 to 2009, between these two financial years, the bad loans are the non-performance assets. They have come down from 12% to 2.5%. It means they have drastically reduced. What are the reasons for that? One is SARFAESI Act. So, this SARFAESI Act will be discussed in your regular classes. And next is tax recovery tribunals. Tax recovery tribunals. And also, obviously, as the economy improves, incomes also improves. The loan recovery also improves for the banks. Now, by the 2014, This 2.5% is almost reached to so-called 4.6%. So it almost got doubled now. So again, the weakening of the economy is said to be one major reason. So in this context, the another major reason which was said is the excessive exposure of the banks to the infrastructure. So from this perspective, this situation is going to become much worse. One is the Basel III norms are going to come up. It means the banks need more capital. And the second thing is the banks no longer can treat restructured loans as normal loans. It means restructured loans also comes under the definition of bad loans. It means the NPA or bad loans or stressed loans are going to increase for the banks. What are these restructured loans mean? It means that a person has certain outstanding money. It is allowed to pay over a long-term period with minimal installments. For example, if I take a loan of 10 lakh rupees, if I am unable to pay it immediately, then certain long-term period is being given to me, and amount of the money which I have to pay at regular intervals is made to come down to recollect the loan. That is what is called restructuring of the loan. So generally for agriculture, this loan restructuring is a common practice. But however, one positive step is the government has recently introduced 5/25 scheme for infrastructure projects. What is this? Generally, infrastructure projects takes a long gestation period. It means that for them to gain profits on the infrastructure projects, a long period of waiting is necessary. Now in India, generally banks loan or give loans for a period of 6 to 7 years. So in this context, this 5/25 scheme, what it says is, it allows the banks to think the project for 5-year windows. It means once the loan will be given for 5 years, then that particular business entity or organization can collect the loans from another bank and clear the debts of the old bank. It means that the borrower will pay back the loan through financing provided by the other banks. That is what is the bad loans issue. And next is Delhi drama. Now, Delhi has a peculiar environment where the Lieutenant Governor of the Delhi, which is a selected post or which is an appointed authority, is in conflict with democratically elected authority. Now, the Lieutenant Governor has many discretionary powers. So in this context, the Article 239AA and 239AB, they provide for the special powers to Lieutenant Governor. In this context, so revisiting the establishment of or the revisiting the provisions related to the Delhi government to provide for stability and continuity in administration is the need of the hour. Understand, unity of command is disturbed now. If you can remember the Fayol, if unity of command is disturbed, then entire organization is going to be in jeopardy. And I don't see any difference over here with regard to Delhi is concerned. Now when there are two power centers where the loyalties have to be expressed is a major concern. Ultimately the victim is going to be the motivation of the civil servants and also the administration in Delhi. These are the things we need to understand. Thank you very much and wish you all the best. Good night.